Hi everyone, Donna McElvaney here, and today we're going to be doing another planned pulling video using Red Heart Super Saver in Antique. So this is a request. Somebody had asked me to do another vid using Antique, and this time to do 6 sequences so they could see it, see how it flows and stuff, and hopefully that will help them to better get it, and I hope that it helps you too. Alright, so the first thing we do is we look to see what size hook it uses, and it suggests a 5.5 millimeter eye hook. All right, so I've got out my eye hook. It's a 5.25. I've also got out my H and my J. My J says it's a 5.75. I can barely see it because it's faded off there. So it was always good to get out some extra hooks for some different sizes because sometimes your yarn can be fiddly. Sometimes it takes a little bit of messing with it to get your stitches to go right. Okay, so I also have got out a contrasting color, just a small piece of it, because in this one, since we've got so many sequences that we're doing, I am going to do the non-modified puff stitch. So this is the alternative way of how to do pulling. So I'm going to start with the burgundy here, and I'm going to chain through. So since it's 6 sequences, typically to do pulling, you would chain through as many sequences as you want your project to be. So if I wanted 4 sequences, I would chain through 4 on my initial base. If I wanted 3, I would chain through 3. This person has asked me to do 6, but I'm not going to chain through 6 because if you've already done any pulling projects already, you know that there is quite a long tail left over afterward. Whenever you do even just 2 sequences or just 1 sequence, there's a tail left over. And the longer your sequence is, so 5 and 6, 4, 5, and 6, that many multiples of them, the longer your tail is going to be. So instead of chaining through all 6 sequences, I'm going to chain through 4 sequences. And I'm still going to be able to get 6 moss stitched sequences out of it. I tried it ahead of time just to make sure because I didn't want to start a video and chain through and not have enough space on it. So I already tried it out just to make sure, and it worked. So a lot of times if I'm doing 5 sequences on a project, a lot of my Afghans are 5 sequences across, between anywhere from 3 for like a baby size up to 5 for a larger throw Afghan. I tend to do shorter in the initial chain because I just don't need that much of a tail left over. Alright, so maybe that little tip will help you out too. Alright, so I'm starting with burgundy. So I've got 1, 2, 3 burgundy so far. And I noticed in one of my last videos I watched that my eye hook is not covered. My eye hook, and it's shiny. And I apologize for any glare that comes off of it, that comes off my hook. I noticed in my last video I had my third Mexicana video, I noticed that it was glaring off the camera. Alright, so my wrist has been hurting a bit. 1, 2, 3. The weather change has been crazy. Yesterday it was almost 70, and now today we are iced over. And it's certainly affected my joints. All right, this is my 4th burgundy, so I began with burgundy, so I need to go all the way through burgundy again on my 4th one. So my wrists and several other joints ache and hurt a lot, and it's because of fluoroquinolone toxicity. So don't ever take a fluoroquinolone antibiotic if you are not dying. So that's ciprofloxacin, levaquin, levofloxacin, moxifloxacin, Avelox, floxacin, anything that ends with oxacin, do not take it. Cipro eye drops, that has caused people to go blind. Cipro eardrops, people have gone deaf. The eye drops causes retinal detachment. The eardrops can cause people to go deaf, also causes permanent vertigo. So in my videos I'm trying to include now, don't take a fluoroquinolone antibiotic, ask for something different. It's very bad. It's messed up both my Achilles tendons and has halted my career. So, and on occasion it does affect my crocheting as well. All right, so here we are. This is one sequence is burgundy, this pretty cream color, brown, and then teal. Burgundy, cream, brown, teal. It's number 2, number 3, and number 4. All right, so now we're beginning with number 5, but I'm going to be doing 6 sequences across on this 4 sequence chain. All right, so 6 sequences. So in the very beginning, you want to make sure that your stitch count stays the same. So I go in, if you count the one on the hook, then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or it's the third from the hook. So this is the way that I do it. All right, beginning with the burgundy. Now the burgundy and the teals do have a transition color that goes between them. Whenever I was practicing this earlier, my stitch count was off, so I'm going to have to really pay attention to that in this video. I've done antique before. I made a beautiful Afghan for a fundraiser, and it came out gorgeous. I personally hated it because I didn't like the yarn. The dye was faded. The dye lots didn't match up. Like the dye lots were the same, yet the yarn was not the same. I was very, very unhappy with it. Several places the burgundy was faded. The teal was horribly faded in some places, and even the brown. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I have this transition color going into the white, the cream color. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that at the moment. I may count it as a white one. We'll see here. I get to talking quite a bit in my videos, and it makes me wind up losing track of my stitch count on each of my colors. All right, yes, I'm going to be counting it as a white one, even though it's pink. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to go with this section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the burgundies. The transition color, I counted as a burgundy. 4 of the cream color, the white. Number 4. 5 of the brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brown. One, 2, 3. I'm going to tighten this up and get 4 out of the teal. Your dye lot might be different as far as the length of your stitches. You may only get 3 of one color. All right, earlier I was getting 4 teal, so I'm going to do that with this one. Four of the teal. All right, now I'm back to burgundy. Oh, we had 5 burgundy. Is that correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, this one has 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. All right, so after that, I need to get 4 of these cream colored ones. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And brown is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 4 teal. So I'm skipping one on the chain. I do a single crochet, chain 1, and skip 1, and go into this one. This is the moss stitch. 3, and I need 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is like the transition green here. So if I were to tighten up these brown ones, see that transition green kind of starts right there in the brown. And the transitions makes it very difficult whenever you don't want muddy legs, but it's almost going to be impossible on your transition stitches with this, because that is like so mucky, and it's like this is brown, yet this transition stitch is like even darker than that as it goes into the teal. So that's counted as 1 teal one right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And then it was 6 burgundies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. I really like it whenever they just fall into place like they should. All right, and then 4 of the white cream stitches. I haven't done a project yet where I've gone around the chain. I tried it once in the beginning. It didn't work well for me, so I haven't done it. Just kind of stick with what's worked best. At some point I might do it. I might try it again and see if I can get it better. 4 cream stitches, 5 brown, 2, 3, 4, 5, going into the transition green here, so I need 4 of these. 1, tightening them up a little bit here so I don't have to redo it so much. 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so this is my first sequence. Starts with burgundy. So this is 1 sequence. Here's burgundy again. So this is sequence number 2. And here's burgundy again. So this is sequence number 3 to the teal. So now I'm on sequence number 4. Alright, so this is my 4th sequence. I need 4 stitches out of this cream. Three and 4. I've got too much left over here. If I do another one, it's going to be a split muddy let going into the brown, and I don't want that. So I'm going to go loosen up these burgundy ones a little bit here, because I did have quite a bit of that extra pink left over in the transition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Better. Now I'm going to do 4 white ones. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Very good. And 5 brown. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're already to the green. Tighten these up. I have a cat at my feet staring at me, acting like she wants to jump up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. So I tighten those up enough to get into the transition green. Now I need 4 of these. I'm still doing these taut. 1, 2, and then as I go across it, I see how much I have left wrapped around my finger. So I loosen up accordingly as I go. All right, good deal. Now this is my 5th sequence starting here. So I need 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shugs. She's shaking my camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With too much pink, so I'm gonna loosen that up. I was making it a little bit too tight there. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 4 white ones. 2, 3, 4, and the brown. So in going across this first row, I've noticed that I have a difficult time sometimes getting all 4 stitches out of my teal. Sometimes it only wants to give me 3 stitches. So in this alternate version, I'm going to, could also do it with the brown because the browns want to do it too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the brown, all right, first of all, I'm going to see exactly where I'm at here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Getting a little nervous because I'm getting to the end here. About getting all 6 sequences on a 4 sequence chain. Because I gotta get one more sequence here. One, two, three, 4. Alright. I still have to get 5 out of this one. Because in each of my sequences I have 5. To get it to pull, you need to be 1 stitch off to get it to start. The pattern will be offset by 1 stitch. So in order to have it set off by 1 stitch, you can do one of 2 things. You can either make one of your stitches count in your turning chain on one side of your project, so it's always on the long tail side. Sometimes you have to come up with fancy ways to eat up some of that extra yarn in order to make that happen. Another way of doing it to where you don't have to worry about doing that in the turn, because sometimes if you, like on my videos, I do like a modified puff stitch on my turns to make it work. A lot of people don't like that and they want a different way of doing it. So a different way of doing that is by making one of your colors in one of your sequences short a stitch or long a stitch. Since I'm having a difficult time sometimes getting all 5 stitches of my brown, then I'm going to go ahead and take one sequence and make it 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of my teal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of my burgundy. Perfect. And this is sequence number 6 that I'm starting here. This is how much chain I have left to work with, and this is my 6th and final sequence. 2, 3, and 4. So in this sequence, and all my other ones, I get 5 brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I get 4 teal. So 5 brown, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this one, instead of getting 5 in this one, I'm going to purposefully only get 4. So if you're having a difficult time with a different color making all of your stitches come out, then that would be the color that you would use. Say you're having a hard time getting all of your burgundies to land. 1. Then you would take 1 stitch out of your burgundy. 2, 3. And watch this one be like very easily be able to make 4, to make 5 of them, of course. All right, so I'm going to loosen it up just a little bit more so that I only get 4 brown stitches. And this is also where I'm going to mark it so that I know that this is where, whenever I approach this one section, I need to make sure, I need to loosen up my stitches and make sure that that's all that I get. I'm going to throw this in here. You can put it in here right now if you want to, or you can feed it through after you get done with it. I just kind of hook it into one of the legs there of the stitches, making it land. Okay, so those are loose, and I have 4 brown ones. And I'm going to make sure that I get all 4 of my teal. I could have done it with the teal because I was also having a difficult time getting the teal to land, but the teal only has 4 to begin with, so if I took one out of it, it would be 3, and that's no big deal. I mean, it would be fine, just that teal would wind up having fewer in that one section of it, but I wanted to have all 4 of my teal. Teal is one of my favorite colors, so more teal the merrier. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then we chain 2 and we turn. This is how much tail I have left over. So this was a 4 sequence tail, and I just did 6 sequences on it, and I have this little bit left over, which will be so easy to take out at the end. And I used a lot less yarn, so that's more yarn for my project. All right, so I'm going to turn it now. So I don't count one of my stitches now in my turning chain because it was counted here. So this here is what is going to help offset our project and make it do the argyle pattern offset by 1. So I chain up 2 and then I turn and then I begin. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the beginning of my turn. Did I do that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. I want to make sure that I didn't have 5 there because I would have messed up the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. So I need to get 6 burgundy stitches, and we're going to go into the chain space. I'll be able to go a little bit quicker here since I'm not having to go into the base chain. 3, 4, and here's the brown that I'm going across. 5, and I just go across it like it's nothing. There's nothing special about it or anything, just keep on going. 4 whites. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You don't have to be a counter in order to pull, but your first 2 rows, you most definitely have to count. You have to have the exact same number of stitches in your first 2 rows. Once you have those completed and those done, if you don't want to count anymore, you don't have to. 3 burgundy, 3 teal. I gotta make it into 4 because you'll be able to look at your project and see where they're supposed to land, beginning on the 3rd row. By the 3rd row, which is right after this row, you will start the argyle pattern. All right, so that was 4 teal and 6 burgundy, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you get to the end of the row and you turn and you're off 1 stitch somewhere, it's not turning right, then somewhere on this first row you've missed your count on the first 2 rows. Either your foundation foundation moss stitch, you've missed a stitch somewhere, or in this 2nd row here you've missed a stitch somewhere. Somewhere along the line you've missed 1 stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brown, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's very important to get your first 2 rows exactly correct. Exact number stitch has got to be correct. Don't split any V's. If you split V's, that's a V. You don't want to split any legs, any of your stitches. You want to go into that chain space. If you split one, you just have to be aware of it whenever you come back around to it and identify it, because it can mess up your alignment where your stitches go. It can cause you to put an extra stitch where it doesn't belong. It can cause the alignment to not look correct, and then you'll be thinking that you messed up somewhere, you got a stitch count off, but when actually you split a stitch. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I always get nervous. I do whenever I'm in a video and I get towards the end and it looks a little bit off. I panic just a little bit because I think, oh my goodness, did I miss a stitch somewhere? Because it happens. So I always get a little bit worried and hope, oh no, please don't tell me that I missed something. If I miss something, I'm going to have to start all over again. And that is crummy when that happens. Especially on a project as long as this one. You don't want to have to start over. Especially in a tutorial video. Definitely not. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 6 burgundy, 2, 3, 4, forgot to do those more loosely. 6. Okay, that worked. 4 of the white cream colored ones. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And 4 teal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 burgundy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 4 cream. 2, 3, 5 brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 teal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 burgundy. This is the 6th and final sequence. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A lot of pink there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. So here I'm holding my breath a little bit, hoping and praying that it has ended up good and that I didn't miss a stitch anywhere. If I missed a stitch, I'm definitely going to know it here. That's 5 brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 green. 1, 2, 3. See, I have to move it over for this corner right here. 3. Chain 2 and turn. My 4th green needs to land here, but I need more green. So I can breathe easy because my stitches have come out correct. Oh, thank goodness. All right, so I'm tightening these up so I got more teal there on the end. 3, 4, and 5. 5 browns. I made them tighter so that this transition color is a green one. It's that teal. 1, 2. These are nice and tight. 3, chain 2, turn. We're going to go right here for teal number 4. And see where we are now. So our first burgundy is going to begin above the second burgundy stitch. If that's not what you have in your pulling, it's not going to pull. All right, so that is what it needs to look like. If you've started with a different color, then same thing. Whatever color is here, your first color needs to be right here. If it's not, then you have miscounted, missed a stitch somewhere along the way. If you want to make an adjustment to right here somewhere, like eat up some yarn in the turn to make your stitches land that way, you can. But it's going to be off somewhere in your project. Something is going to be off, and you're going to, whenever you come to it, you're probably going to spot it then, and then you will see where it went off at, and then you'll have to fiddle with it there to make it work too. 2, 3, and 4. And like I said, also here, you don't have to count anymore. Here's my cream stitch, and it had to land here. So I have brown here, so my brown will be here. And as I go, I can see how many brown I need to have. So I'm not counting, I'm just talking. So there's a brown here, and then I see I need one more brown here. But I'm going into transition green, so I need to loosen these browns up to get my brown stitch to land over there. And there, my last brown one landed above my teal green. So then my first teal green starts here. It's a transition green. 2. I am a counter. I tend to count, especially after I've done it now for 2 rows. All right, but eventually I do stop counting. So burgundy here, my first burgundy goes right here. And there we are again. My last one landed right above the transition cream. Other colorways, they don't have a transition color like that. That's so bad, like this one is. Some of them just the color changes very sudden and quick, and it goes right into the next color. The transition is more subtle. It's not as long of a transition. All right, so I'm just kind of quickly going through this next row here. So my brown ended right there, and then my first transition green, this one is here, so my first one is going to be here, so that's perfect. It's right exactly where I need it to be. All right, so I'm just going to go through this row more quickly now so I can get to the other side, since it is a wide project, and I want to get to the corners, because corners are always where the majority of mistakes happen, are in the corners, are in the turns. And if it's not in the turn, then you've actually misplaced a stitch somewhere along the way. So I'm just quickly going through this so I can focus now on the turns and focus on the one place where we adjusted the brown section, one brown section, to make it offset by 1 stitch throughout the whole project. I've been working on knitting. I like to knit. It just takes so long. And so many crocheters that began crocheting find that to be the case with knitting. That knitting just takes so much longer to do than crocheting does. But it also uses less yarn. And I love how stretchy that knit is. But I like to hold my yarn like I crochet. So I've had to adapt my knitting technique in order for it to be enjoyable for me. Because if I do it the way that they do it on videos, I'm sorry, I don't enjoy that at all. My cat is howling in the background. One of my cats. So I actually hold my yarn like this when I knit. I've had to adjust my knitting technique in order to make it work. So my knitting is backwards. So then I had to teach myself how to purl backwards. But I've done it, and it's really cool. It's really neat. I tend to jabber a bit on my videos, just to fill in some of the silence as I'm going along. So here I come to the section. So I know whenever I see this that I have to loosen up these stitches to only get 4 brown. 1, 2. I pull this one up here. I hook it under. 3 and 4. And I just trail this one up with me as I go. And then here I am at the long tail side, but all my legs have to land. All my stitches will count. Nothing is counted in the turning chain. And it makes my edges nice and square on both sides. But I'm going to have to loosen these. No, I didn't. 1, 2, 3. No, I was right. Okay. I'll loosen it up anyway just to make sure that I have plenty in my turning chain. Sometimes you won't be able to chain 2 in your turning chains because you won't have enough yarn to do so and to make that last stitch land here. But I was able to chain 2 there. So if you're not able to chain 2, that happens sometimes. Sometimes you will only be able to chain 1 right there. You'll have to drop hook sizes and still only be able to chain 1. And that happens. It just makes it more difficult whenever you come back around to that corner to actually try to work your hook into that little bitty chain space that you have whenever you are only able to chain 1. So I always make sure that I look that I don't split a V right there, that I pull it over and go into that space. And on the back side too, to make sure that I don't split that V. It can be quite a challenge whenever you can only get 1 stitch and it's a smaller gauge stitch because you had to go down hook sizes. So I'm just going along here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This brown is going to be uphill. Whenever I get to the brown, I need to remember to tighten it up. That I need to crochet a little bit tighter, because that one section with that is the only one where I do it loosely to get 4 stitches. My cat is just howling upstairs. Better now than 2 o'clock in the morning. No, at 2 o'clock in the morning, he's standing on my chest and he weighs like 20 pounds. or he likes to lay across my neck and my head. It can be difficult whenever the colors transition over, whenever they cross over like that in the middle and it's just kind of blobby messes there. You really have to pay attention to your outer stitches, making sure that they land right. So here's my brown here, and my first brown is going to go right here. So that way there I know that that middle blobby mess is on track. And tighten up the brown. And make sure that I'm transition green. So transition green goes here. 2, 3, and 4. And burgundy. And my green ended here, and burgundy begins here. Alright, so I hope that this helps with multiple sequences. If my video goes too long, it can take up to 24 hours for it to load on YouTube. And I did those too tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've got too much left over. Alright, so I'm going to get to this end over here, which is ways away yet, and then I'll end the video and load it up. If you guys have any questions, any comments, any requests, if it's a yarn that I can find it fairly easily and locally, I'm more than happy to do it and happy to help. You can find me on Facebook. I've thought about actually getting a different Facebook page just for Donna McIlvaney's planned pooling. I think that'd be cool. And that way there, posts and comments and stuff are separated. But nonetheless, I love helping people out. I love helping people get it whenever it clicks for them. It's a magical moment whenever you're finally able to do planned pooling. So, and I love that. So you can message me if you're having problems with it and you still can't get it. You can also comment on my videos. Please like my videos, share them, subscribe. That helps me and my family out a great deal. Especially since, like I said, because of fluoroquinolone antibiotics, mine was Levaquin. I have not been able to work as a respiratory therapist, and I miss it. I really miss being part of the team and being able to rush in and help save lives. I miss that work. 2, 3, 4, 5. So by subscribing to my videos, sharing them with others, getting other people to subscribe, it really helps us out quite a bit. And I appreciate all the feedback, all the questions, all the info, all the requests. I'm so happy to help you all. I'm coming to the end here. I live in a little bitty podunk town, so my yarn place is Walmart. And Walmart, thankfully the Walmart here carries a wide variety of yarns, and it's all mostly Red Heart yarns. Red Heart, their variegated ones, they do have some very pretty variegateds. Antique, and also, I need to do one more. Antique is one that is softer, and so is Wildflower. Wildflower is another softer yarn, and it's just Red Heart Super Saver. Not sure why these two are more soft than other ones are, but they are. They're not as scratchy. They're not as rough, and they do pull nicely. some people say that I do go way fast, but whenever I am explaining exactly how to do it, I try to slow it down in those areas. So as you can see, my transition cream goes here. And with a longer project, I do have to go a bit faster. So here's another kind of blobby mess in the middle. And don't get sidetracked as to which one that you're following. So here I have brown, so look at the brown. So brown is here, so my next brown needs to be here. And here I am over back to the opposite end again. I need to get one more brown stitch because this is a transition green. All right, so then my green. So here in the corner, I pull it over. I look to the back, make sure I don't split that stitch there. Chain 2. So I have 1, 2 teal, and I need to land 2 more teal, and I want to make sure that that's correct. So I land the 2, and I stop and I look. All right, so my next color is burgundy. So I'm going to look where the burgundy is below. The burgundy is here, here, here. So my next burgundy has to land right here, and that's perfect. That's exactly where we need to be. And I hope this helps you all. And if you have any questions, comments, please feel free to leave comments in the comment section. And you can message me on Facebook. I'm happy to help you guys. And I hope this helps you with very multiple sequences here. And don't take a fluoroquinolone antibiotic unless you're dying, because it could kill you. And all right, everyone. God bless. Have a great day. Thank you.